Very good. So with that being said, the first thing that I want to disclose very clear is that this is not legal advice. This is just information. It's also not a sales presentation. I'm not here to sell anything. Actually, I didn't even bring business cards because I'm not allowed to, solicit or anything. I'm not going to ask for your emails, and I'm not going to be sending you any information. This is purely just information that I've put together during those 10 years of being, providing these business seminars. And this information is public. Actually, if you want to get the presentation, just send me an email. This is just information that I got from different websites, which I'm going to share with you at the end. The IRS, SBA, it's all there. It's public information. It's not copyrighted. So I'm more than happy to share this presentation with you because at the end, it's public information that I just put together, okay? But yeah, by no means this is going to be like a recommendation or a substitute for any legal advice. All right, so what we are going to do today is, introduction. We are already getting to know each other, and actually I had a great, chance to meet you all of you guys individually. Then we're going to see why is it important to have the right legal structure. We're going to learn a little bit about different characteristics of the different legal structures like sole proprietorships, partnerships, LLCs, corporations. Then search your business trade name, and then the most important part, which is how to register your business, and if you need an EIN. So that's all that you will be getting tonight. So one of the most common myths is like you have to be a resident to start a business in the US. And this is a very common question that I get at the bank. Like some people, especially for instance in Germany, I know for sure you don't have you don't have the opportunity to open your business unless you are a legal resident or a citizen. And knowing here, this is one of the greatest opportunities that no matter where you're from, you don't have to be a resident or a citizen to open a business in the US. So that's great news. It's really simple. Also, some people think that you may have to have a social security number to open your business. That's also not true. As long as you have a tax identification number, it doesn't matter if it's a social security number or a tax ID, you are able to register your business. Also, there's a myth saying like, I have to have a lot of money to start my own business. Well, we're gonna learn later with the business series how you can fund that business, how you can get ideas or venture capitalists or things like that, so you can start your own business without, having to rob a bank. Also, the misconception that the legal process is very long, it's confusing and it's expensive. Like for instance, in Mexico, just to get you an idea, in Mexico to start a business, just to register the business, it's like $5,000 that you have to pay for an attorney or a notary. Well, actually notaries have to be attorneys. Then you have to wait at least 3 months to get all the legal process just to get your name legally registered. And here you're going to learn how it's really, really simple to start pretty much to register your business. And why is it important to have the right legal structure? We all know that accidents happen, right? And when you are in business, of course, you have great rewards, but also you have liabilities. You have responsibilities, and you don't want to be involved in a lawsuit because, I don't know, let's say you open a restaurant and the pozole that you were serving had something that your customer didn't like and you got food poisoning or whatever. So you don't want to have a lawsuit and not be under the legal structure that is going to protect you. And accidents happen, and of course, everybody that is in business, they are looking for, great rewards. But of course, you want to minimize that risk. And how do we do it? Well, first by creating your own legal structure and protecting your assets, because that's the main purpose of having a legal structure in place, to protect your personal assets. Because let's say, going back to the example of the restaurant, let's say I have my Mexican restaurant and Pedro comes in and he gets food poisoning and he sues me. If I don't have the legal structure, the judge can go after my personal assets like my house, my car, my dog, or I don't know, but they can go after everything that you own. So that's why everybody, before they start doing business, they want to have that business registered under the right legal structure, okay? And this was very common in Colorado. Same thing. We have a lot of, people starting their own construction company, and we told them, before you go to get that estimate, before you hire workers, you want to have that legal structure in place because you don't want to risk your own assets and, of course, protect your family. So let's start with the first legal entity, which is the most common. Most of you who might be, already operating a little kind of the business or services, like in Angel's case, let's say, for instance, he, fixes a computer. So that's considered, being a sole proprietorship. He's doing business for himself. So the bad news about just having a sole proprietorship is that there is no limitation on personal liability. So same thing, the owner is liable for any debts or obligations. So pretty much it's like not having that limitation on liability. Then on your taxes, there is only one level of income tax. So the owner can include the profit from the business into your personal taxes. So that's the good news. It's not as complicated as other entities that we will see. And also on the administrative process, well, it's very low. You don't need to file. You don't need to register your business. Some businesses are, some people who are self-employed, what they do is they register a DBA. DBA means doing business as. So let's say, for instance, Steven, you're in. So let's say he wants to start, providing services for Italian people to come into the US and take them to Disney. I don't know, just an example. So he might be doing his business under a specific name, but at the end of the day, his business legal entity is being a sole proprietorship. The DBA is just doing business as, just a name, but you don't have that limited liability. So try to be careful, because when people come to the bank and they want to open a business account and they are like, yeah, I registered my business, it's a DBA. I'm like, okay, DBA doesn't mean that you have that limited liability. DBA is you are operating as a sole proprietorship just with a name, how do you say, like a commercial name, just to get to know your business. But be careful with just doing sole proprietorship with DBA, because that is not limiting your liability, okay?
Let me see if this works.
Okay.
Okay, maybe not. I tried.
If you want to let me know, I can just...
Okay, thank you. So as far as taxes, the way it works for sole proprietorship is very simple. Same thing, you just pay taxes once. You file what is called a Schedule C, which is pretty much the profit and loss of a business. Of course, if you don't know what is a profit and loss, then you have to come to the business series where we are going to talk about financial statements. Because another important thing about you, before you start your own business, you want to at least understand what are the financial statements. Because everybody wants to start their own business to make money, right? So you have to understand what are the financial statements, what's in there. Of course, we don't want you to be a professional, accountant, because I did that for 5 years and it's pretty boring, believe me. But at least you want to understand what is it shown on the profit and loss, because you want to know that you're making money, that you don't have unnecessary expenses or things like that. So we're gonna learn on that other business seminar what is a profit and loss. But just for the purpose of this class, I want you to know that there is a form that the IRS asks you to file, which is a Schedule C, where you see how much you made and what is your net profit. And you pay taxes based on the net profit. So one of the important things to know is that as a business owner, you have those business deductions, right? So that's another thing that we will learn later with some tax experts, and we will see what you can deduct and what is not allowed. But very important for you to know that you don't pay taxes on what you sell or what is like your gross, but you actually pay taxes on the net, or your profit, your after expenses net profit. And based on what the business made, then you transfer that over to your personal income tax, which is Form 1040. So again, it's just to give you an idea just to let you know what is in general the tax treatment. But of course, we don't expect you to be, just experts on taxes. Thank you. So when you do that, when you are pretty much filing your taxes as self-employed, you have to pay what is called self-employment tax. And it's like paying your own social security. Like when you work for a company, your employer pretty much pays for social security, Medicare, FICA, FUCA, and all of that. So when you're working for yourself, well, you have to pay social security and Medicare. So consider that at least 15% of your net profit is going to be self-employment taxes, okay? So the nice thing is that you can deduct 50% of that, but still you have to pay those taxes. So that's it. And those self-employment taxes are applied when you file a sole proprietorship or single member LLC, which we're going to learn what is a single member LLC. So just so you know, self-employment taxes when you are filing a self-employed or single member LLC. Another type of legal entity is a general partnership. So very important for you to know. Let's say here Camilo is getting with some friends from Colombia and they want to get together and they're like, well, since we're going to be all partners, let's do a general partnership. Watch out, because a general partnership has unlimited liability. Same thing. So let's say you are importing electronics from Colombia and for some reason those electronics, I don't know, something happened, accident, worst case scenario. So you have unlimited liability under a general partnership. That's why there's another legal entity which is called limited partnerships, which again will separate your business assets from your personal assets. Your personal assets will be protected under a limited partnership. But the general partnership is not. Also for the taxes, same thing as the sole proprietorship. You bring those taxes from that partnership, your portion, your percentage goes to your personal taxes. And it's very simple to register that. You just go to the state level, the Secretary of State, and register a partnership. So that's relatively simple to register. But again, general partnerships have unlimited liability. Thank you. LLC, which is the most common kind of business, especially for startups, limited liability company, then you are separating, right, your personal assets from the business assets. So yes, you have that limited liability protection. Then you can file one level of income, so same thing as a sole proprietorship. You can file your taxes from the net profit of the LLC. You file that under your personal taxes. Or the second option is if there are many members on the LLC, it can also be taxed as a partnership. We're going to learn more about that later. And as far as the administrative process, well, you need to register that form of entity with the state. And what else? Well, it's also recommended to have an operating agreement. So for instance, let's say Camilo, going back to his idea of starting his business,